I fell in love with a ghost. It started on nights when the world felt too quiet. I was alone in the old house I inherited, the kind of house where floorboards creak and shadows linger longer than they should. Most people would have felt fear. I felt curiosity. That's when I saw him. At first I thought it was a trick of the light, a reflection from the window. But the first time he smiled at me, warm and sad, I knew it wasn't a reflection. He was real. Somehow, impossibly, he was real. He was a ghost. I learned that quickly. There were things he couldn't do, he couldn't touch, couldn't hold, couldn't stay when the sun rose. But he was there in the quiet hours, moving between walls, lingering in the corners, always watching me with eyes that seemed to know everything. I tried to ignore him at first. A rational part of me screamed that this was impossible, insane, forbidden. But another part, the part that had been lonely for too long, leaned into him. We talked. Not at first, he had no voice. But he could speak in small ways, a window sliding open, a candle flickering, a book falling to the floor to draw my attention. Eventually, he learned to speak to me in whispers, barely audible, carried by the night wind. I fell in love with him. I know how that sounds. Unreal, foolish, impossible. But love doesn't care about rules. It doesn't care about form or reason. Love sees the soul even if the body is gone. He told me his story slowly, about the life he had lived, the mistakes he had made, the people he had lost, about the moment he left this world, too young, too full of dreams unfinished. And somehow I became part of his unfinished story. We laughed together. We shared stories. We sat in silence. And the silence wasn't lonely. I knew it couldn't last. He wasn't mine to keep. I couldn't touch him, hold him, or live a life with him in the normal sense. And yet, I couldn't stop loving him. The hardest part was the mornings. The moments when daylight came and he faded, leaving me cold and empty. But he always returned at night. When the world was quiet, when the air was still, when I could feel him again. I never told anyone. How could I? They would call me crazy, but I didn't care. I loved him, a ghost, someone I wasn't supposed to, someone who wasn't alive, someone who could never be mine. But maybe that's the point. Love doesn't always need to exist in the world that others can see. Sometimes love exists in the moments between seconds, in the pauses of time, in the spaces where we feel alive even if the world says we shouldn't. I fell in love with a ghost. And in that impossible, fleeting love of 𝗙𝗃𝗲𝗹, I learned something profound. Some connections are so deep, they transcend life itself.